Okay, so station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is the International Space Station. We are ready for the event.
ABC News, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is ABC News. How do you hear me?
I got you loud and clear, Lisa. How do you hear me up here on the International Space Station?
You sound like you're right next door, but I know you're not. Good morning. Thank you for talking with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We're only 220 miles above the Earth, so we're not that far away. Just going sort of fast.
How's the weather up there today?
Absolutely beautiful, just like every day up here. It's nice to see the Earth and the clouds down below. Getting to the point that I sort of miss a little bit of rain, but every day is a beautiful day up here.
Now, you snagged a Dragon yesterday. Tell me about some of the cargo, and I understand they even brought you a little dessert.
That's a fact. Actually, Golden Hands Aki Hoshidi was at the controls and grabbed the Dragon, and then we brought it close next to the space station, and then I got to actually birth it, so that was pretty fun. A lot of cargo. You might see behind me. We started taking stuff out. Some of the white bags right behind me is all the cargo. This is a crew care package which we got. We also got a little dessert, just like you said. Got a little ice cream, so we're looking forward to having that tonight. We just unpacked it this afternoon, so we put it in our refrigerator here, waiting to have it tonight.
That looks good.
Yeah, it's quite a treat. We don't usually have this type of stuff up here. It's usually, thermostabilized or dehydrated that we're hydrating. So, homemade ice cream is something special, and we're going to have a little party. We, Aki and I were telling Yuri about it last night, and tonight's our dessert night.
So we're in the middle of an election here. How are you going to vote from space?
Well, luckily, I was able to be an early voter. So while it got in sort of right under the wire, while we were in Kazakhstan in July, I actually submitted my vote, double enveloped it. My husband took it home and sent it in for me. So luckily, I already voted. We'll see if I made the right choice.
Do you vote in Massachusetts?
Actually, I'm military. I'm a Navy guy, so I spent some of my my earlier days in Florida. So I've been a Florida resident since I was like 20. So I'm a Florida guy, and they have absentee ballot voting for military, and so that's how I actually got my ballot.
Very cool. How would you compare this stay on your space station compared to the one you had before? This is your second hitch up there.
Last time was really dynamic because we were right in the middle of building the space station, and, I thought this time would be a little less dynamic maybe and a little bit more concentrated on science, and that it is for sure. Every day is a little bit different, doing all sorts of amazing science experiments, from fire to capillary action to medical experiments. And I thought that was going to be really exciting, and it is. But then on top of that, we are doing some pretty dynamic operations. Since we've been here, we've had an HTV, a Japanese cargo vehicle, arrive and release it. We've had Progress come and go. We've had Soyuz come and go, and now we have Dragon coming and going, as well as we did a couple EVAs, and there might be another one on our plate coming up in the next 2 weeks, as well as the rest of our 33 crew, which is coming up here also in 2 weeks. So it's been pretty crazy. It's been one thing after another. I think it's the next step in space exploration to make it almost, not necessarily routine, but almost very action-packed, and that's what should be expected.
You're like a giant truck stop in space. But let me ask you a minute about your triathlon. What prompted you to do a triathlon? Floating that far above the Earth?
Well, one of my things that I think is really important is physical fitness, particularly for kids. When I was a kid, I was a swimmer, and I think that really dictated a lot of, my personality about being maybe a little stubborn, a little bit persistent, and and knowing how to win and knowing how to lose. And I really think sports are good not only for your health but just for professional physical development, and trying to figure out some way in my lifetime to emphasize that to kids. And last time I was up here, I ran the Boston Marathon because I'm from Boston, and this time I was offered an entry into the Malibu Triathlon by Dr. Sanjay Gupta. So how could you say no? I was a swimmer when I was a kid. Running just comes naturally, and biking up here in space is sort of a standard. So why not? And hopefully some kids picked up on it and maybe get interested in triathlons and sports.
You just had someone float behind you there, by the way. And obviously I know you couldn't swim, but you simulated swim with a machine that you have up there, right?
Yeah, we have this really great machine called the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device, and people say, how can you lift weights in space? And this device allows us to use a vacuum, cylinders with vacuum, and you push against the vacuum, you can get all the way up to about 600 pounds equivalent. And so it really provides a good load-bearing exercise for your hips and your ankles and your back and your abdomen area. Really, those are the parts that we lose bone density and muscle mass, and so it's really good. And then also you can do some bench press, some shoulder press, bicep curls, beach muscles. And so we did a whole routine of about 15 of those exercises, and it pretty much wore me out. And that was a good swim equivalent, I thought.
One quick thing, I know we're almost out of time. I read on your blog that you can see the seasons change from up there. Tell me about that. What is that like?
Well, it's pretty cool because last time I was here from December to June, and of course you're looking at where you're from, and so I was looking at places in the northern hemisphere, and I could see everything turning bright green, and that was really cool because it was like, oh, it's springtime and it's summertime. And this time, I didn't even think about it. It just sort of happened. When we were up here, everything was a little bit darker green, like it is in this, in the later summer. And now, when you look at the areas where we're growing a lot in the middle of the United States, for example, it's much browner. And I think maybe part of that was the drought anyway, but it's definitely a reddish tinge in the more northern parts of the North America. And this time, I've been paying attention to other parts of the world that I don't really know very much about, the southern hemisphere, and this time I could see those turning green, and you can definitely tell there are different cloud coverage in the world when the seasons change, particularly spring and fall. So it's obvious from up here the tilt is changing. Other interesting things happen, of course. The northern lights and the southern lights sort of change too. So all sorts of cool changes you can watch on the Earth.
Sunny, thank you so much. We are unfortunately out of time. I'd love to spend more time with you, and I know you missed that cup of coffee. I'm having mine now. I hope you get yours soon when you get back to Earth. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, and I'll wait for that cup of coffee. Floating in space is pretty fun.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the ABC News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CNN.
Look at the live picture. Amazing.
Station, this is CNN. How do you hear me?
Europe and Asia. That's going to happen next.
CNN, we've got you loud and clear from the International Space Station. How do you hear us?
I hear you just fine. We just got into a commercial break, so we'll be up with your live interview with Don Lemon in 3 minutes. His name is Don, D-O-N.
Okay, copy that. Don Lemon.
Sunny.
Hello, this is Sunny. Is this Don?
Yes, how are you?
I'm doing great up here. How are you doing down there?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to have you. I love your hairdo. It's like an afro. You look like you could be related to me, and I'm African American.
Well, I'm letting it grow. I got it cut right before I launched, and I had really long hair right before that. So I decided I'm just going to let it grow out here and see what it looks like. It's getting a little bit weird, but it's still fun.
I'm so excited. I can't believe that. Technology is amazing. I know we've done this before, but every time I see it or I get to do one of these interviews, it's unbelievable. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams, I know that you wanted to be an astronaut, but did you ever think in your wildest dreams that you'd be doing what you're doing and physically where you are right now at the space station?
Heck no. Actually, when I was growing up, I really wanted to be a veterinarian. I love animals. And, that was sort of the thought in my mind. My father's a doctor and, never thought about being an astronaut, never met an astronaut, never knew an astronaut until later in my life when I was a test pilot. And so there's no way that I thought that I would be up here on the International Space Station with, partner cosmonauts and astronauts, catching spacecraft and doing EVAs. It's a dream come true.
Hey, Sonny, just so you know, because there's such a huge delay, and if something happens, if you can, that was great, but just, if you can keep your answers brief so that I can jump in and ask you a bunch of questions, because people want to know so much about you. But there's a giant delay here, so if you can be mindful of that, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay, will do.
I'll see you on TV in just a little bit.
"20 seconds back from commercial. Stand by.
So excited right now. You have to watch this. Look at that behind me. That's space. We're going to go live to space right now. There are some very happy crew members in the International Space Station this morning. Yesterday, they successfully captured the first commercial cargo ship to deliver supplies to the station. On board the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, 1,000 pounds of supplies, clothing, science experiments, and much more. Space Station Commander is Sunny Williams. She helped to slay the Dragon. And she joins us now live from the International Space Station. Sunny, it is an honor to talk to you. It's really a special treat. Also, I understand some ice cream arrived for you guys as well.
Yeah, we had a special treat yesterday. Not only did we get the Dragon, but we also got a whole bunch of ice cream, so dessert's ready for us.
Listen, I've got to ask you, when I see you there, oh, look at that. Oh, that's pretty cool. When I see you there, did you ever imagine in a million years, when you were a child and even growing up, that you would be doing what you're doing now in space at the International Space Station?
No, it never crossed my mind that I would ever be an astronaut. I had never met an astronaut, never knew an astronaut. But, after being a professional pilot and test pilot, I finally met some people who were astronauts and understood, hey, or thought to myself, hey, maybe I could do that because it looks like it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it does look like a whole lot of fun. I keep looking over because there's a bigger monitor here, and I'm wanting to look at you. The Dragon spacecraft marks the beginning of really a new evolution for spaceflight. Private companies now taking over the work that governments did before. What do you make of that? Is that helpful to the program?
Absolutely. A little competition is really good because it makes people a little bit better at what they're doing. And now that we have a commercial spacecraft coming up here to do the resupply, NASA can actually concentrate on other stuff, going beyond low Earth orbit, making a big rocket to potentially get us back to the moon, onto Mars, more into exploration. And so, yeah, commercial companies coming up to the International Space Station, I think, is a great idea.
Mm-hmm. We talked to you, said never in a million years would you imagine that you would be doing this. You wanted to be a veterinarian. Only a handful of people can say they have been the commander of a space station. You're a woman. That is definitely an accomplishment. What is that like to you? I mean, is there a mentor or a hero that you have that you aspire to be like? What is that like for you?
Well, it's a little bit humbling because I don't really think of that stuff too much in that context. I think I just think of it as doing my job, and there's definitely people ahead of us who have paved the way, of course. The late Sally Ride, Peggy Whitson, the chief of our office, was also space station commander. So really great people out there who have, been there, done that, and made it look easy, and so open the doors for all the rest of us to just jump in there and say, I could do that too. So, I think it's more of you just do your best that you can do. Hopefully you become a role model for somebody else who says, I'm like that person. I understand that person. I could be just like them and do the same things that they're doing.
Okay, so I understand we only have about 20 seconds left before the satellite goes out. So listen, people may not know that you still get to vote in the election, so I'm sure you're going to vote. They may not get that. And what's the favorite ice cream flavor? Which one have you been eating?
Yeah, I voted because I'm a military guy, and of course vanilla. Good old-fashioned vanilla is my favorite because then you can add things to it.
Sonny Williams, thank you. And we joked before, I love the hairdo. I said you could be one of my relatives. You got a little afro going there. Thank you. Take it easy, be safe, and we're very proud of you, okay?
Thank you very much. It's got a lot of body.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, ABC News and CNN. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.